The significant mandate and commitment of the South African National Roads Agency is now in the hands of its new CEO, Reginald Demana, and his team. In this part 2 of an in-depth interview with Mr. Demana, I discuss with him the way forward. Mr. Demana, great to see you again. The last time we spoke, we spent time looking at the history and the current state of the business 25 years on. You've been in your job about 5 months now. So let me begin by asking you, what's in your strategy for the next 5 years?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yes, I've been there for just about 5 months now. And I've tried to move around to the different regions and the different projects, meet the teams, and of course our stakeholder, shareholder, the Department of Transport, and the ministry, and many other stakeholders that we work with. SANRAL has a very solid and clear mandate, which is to finance, design, plan, construct, maintain, and rehabilitate roads. It's been like that for the last 25 years, and it is also not going to change. There is a strategy in place called Horizon 2030. That strategy was approved just about 5 years ago, so it still has a bit to go. A key aspect of Horizon 2030 strategy is really to deliver a safe, efficient, reliable and resilient national road network for the benefit of all people. We execute that through 4 pillars. So there's a roads pillar, which is about engineering beautiful roads that you see all around. It is about road safety. How do we incorporate road safety into our various designs? Integrated transport, pedestrians, public transport in South Africa, very key. How do we bring in pedestrians and public transport to stop and go within the national road network? It is about stakeholder, that's another pillar, stakeholder management. And you don't have to guess why stakeholders was elevated. It was because of experiences of Etolls, where we thought perhaps we need to do more than just build roads. We need to talk to stakeholders. We need to bring them along. We need to build roads with the people, not for the people. And the last pillar is the mobility pillar. It's just overall, when we look at our network and the different corridors, some are economic corridors, they require different needs. Some are roads crossing communities, different needs. And of course, our extensive public transport, of which a large part of it is informal. How do we try and integrate all of this and create efficient mobility systems? So that's really has been the strategy for us. What we are looking at, the board, a strong focus, and my focus, is to now elevate transformation as one of the key pillars of our strategy, to become a 5th pillar, if you like. And why is that? Certainly, in a South Africa with growing inequality, unemployment, and poverty, we must respond as part of government machinery. We must make sure that the building of roads benefit historically disadvantaged people. We must make sure that where we build roads and maintain roads, they benefit the communities and SMMEs that live along the roads, and create employment opportunities in the ongoing work of maintenance. So that's why transformation is key. But also it is because it is a social license to operate. When you build road, you move people, you relocate people, you ask for permission, you are in their lives. For that convenience, we think that it is only fair that we elevate transformation and seek to work with them and for them to benefit economically. That's what we're doing.
So, Etolls, were lessons learned there? Will you do something like that again? Are we going to see other Etolls projects in the future?
My reading currently of the situation, certainly in South Africa, The position we have taken inside SANRAL as a management board, and I think also the Department of Transport, our shareholder, has taken the same view that we will not implement tolling scheme in the form of e-toll going forward, not for the foreseeable future. What we may then consider doing, there's a roads funding policy that is in front of cabinet, so I don't want to preempt that. But what we are likely to continue to do is the user pay principle using the conventional toll booms. And I also don't think we are looking at creating more new greenfield tolls. It is more of expanding existing roads, creating more capacity in existing roads. N1, for example, from Bela Bela to Musina, we want to also create another dual carriageway so that you separate traffic. In N1 Huguenot Tunnel in the Western Cape, we want to do another tunnel next to it. It's already bored, we just need to equip it. So it might require an adjustment of tolls there. But it's within the existing road, within the existing toll gates, and you are just doing expansion. Maybe there could be fewer greenfields tolls, potentially in the Wild Coast, at the N2 Wild Coast, but in very select areas. Having said that, the principle will be thorough consultation with all stakeholders to make sure that South Africans are fully on board and we don't see any challenges going forward.
The Gauteng infrastructure project has happened. Etolls are there. We see the gantries. Is there an opportunity to use this infrastructure going forward?
Yes, and it's a very exciting part of what we have. The technology that's sitting there, the camera systems and all of that can do a lot more in law enforcement. The cameras are able to read, to do plate recognition, so they can use it in crime fighting. They give you real-time traffic monitoring, so you can see vehicles moving, you can monitor stolen vehicles and all of that. In certain areas, you are able to see when things such as hijackings and cash in transit are taking place, and you are able to then ask the closest law enforcement to be deployed to those areas. You are also able to see traffic movements where there are traffic jams, stuck cars, trucks, maybe they're stuck in the fast lane during the morning. They shouldn't be doing that, but it happens. And you are then able to send relief to those areas so that they are towed out of the road. And also, most importantly, what our technology does is it saves lives. Our response time into accident areas within the e-toll network has saved a lot of lives because we are very quick. We are able to spot accidents within a short space of time, and we have an accident response team that you see moving around very quickly. Yeah.
I only found out recently, actually, that there are different layers in terms of our road networks. There's the national, provincial, and municipal. So first of all, help our viewers understand the differences and also what it means for you, because I'm hearing that there could be pressure for you to take on more of the provincial and local networks that are not under your purview right now.
Yeah, there are 288 roads authorities. Some are municipal, district, local. Some are metros, like the Johannesburg Roads Agency, for example. And of course, the provinces themselves, and nationally, SANRAL representing the National Department of Transport. Of course, the challenge is when you are in any given road, you might be crossing all 4 or 5 different types of roads authorities. Let me give you an example. N1. When you start N1 in Cape Town, right in the city there, it could be a City of Cape Town road just outside of the convention center there. When you then drive just slightly out of there, it becomes a provincial road. And that will continue all the way until before the tunnel, and it becomes a SANRAL road. And not just a SANRAL road, but a SANRAL toll road, because we toll at the Huguenot Tunnel. Then when you cross the Huguenot Tunnel further up, it then just becomes a SANRAL non-toll road. So it's not tolled, it's funded by grants. And along the way, it will keep changing ownership into province, municipal, all the way until it reaches Musina. And that explains why, even though it's N1, you will never have the same quality of ride and same quality of road from end to end. It varies. That's because of the ownership. Now, coming back to SANRAL, our mandate approved by our shareholder and the board is to be a 35,000 kilometer road authority. We are now at 23,500. We still have 11,500 of roads identified 10 years ago to be transferred to SANRAL over time from provinces. So it is not new, it is not increased pressure. I think when you say pressure, I would say it's more the agency. We are now realizing that it is urgent to transfer the roads to SANRAL so that we can then implement and maintain them in the same standards that we do as for the rest of the national roads. But it's part of our mandate that we need to get there.
All right. So innovation is something that I'm sure is important to you, just as many companies. What kinds of innovations are on the horizon for you as SANRAL?
There is one which I'm very passionate about. And I also, I think the department, the new minister and the deputy minister, very passionate about. It is this thing called nanotechnology. It's about gravel material. So it's something we can use to improve the condition of gravel roads. So 79% of our network is gravel, a significant part. And if we can find technology to improve the quality of these roads, very good. It almost gives you the same sort of ride quality as a surfaced road. It's more resilient, it's more stable, and it also much cheaper to implement relative to the surfacing cost. We are very excited about. We are already implemented across, I think, 8 to 10 projects at SANRAL. We're now trying to accelerate the rollout to provinces and municipalities. And that is why I'm saying the Department of Transport is pushing very hard that we do that. So nanotechnology for gravel roads, one part. The second part is road safety. Road safety, how do we integrate public transport and pedestrians into the national road network? There's a project in Cape Town on the N2, where the N2 passes Khayelitsha on either side of the N2. There is a need for people to cross that road, whether they are going to schools or work across the different areas of the settlement. There is a need. It's required. If we don't respond to that, we will have more accidents and people dying there. It's a reality. So our team down that side in the Western region are looking at projects. In fact, it's the next project that I'm hoping we will be awarding very soon and starting construction soon. It's in design, where we're introducing these pedestrian crossings, which also allow public transport, buses and transport to stop along the freeway. So you can suddenly have a very safe parking station. You disembark, and you cross on either side of the road. So that's the new type of standard we are rolling out. And hopefully once that's done, other municipalities and roads authorities in the provinces will adopt that. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Apart from that, clearly we are known for engineering excellence, so I won't even bother on that because that's what we do. We have a lot of partnerships with universities, international organizations, as well as other agencies like the CSIR that continuously do research on different types of things. how do you minimize, asphalt, the use of water and all of that, lightening along the roads. We want to pioneer something on the N3 between Pietermaritzburg and Durban, where we are putting in street lights. So we're doing improvements for that road. We're putting in street lights, which, depending on the amount of traffic, will be able to dim. So they will be able to control themselves on the basis of traffic moving. If it's late at night, more traffic, they become more visible. If it's quiet, all of that, then they will dim and all of that and give you a nice ride feel throughout the time, and also save the energy. So more environmental friendly solutions at that what we'll be looking at. So very proud of that as well.
All right, and I'm mindful that this is a significant year for the agency, 25 years on. And as we start to wrap up this conversation, perhaps a final thought in terms of how you see the agency evolving in the next 25 years, and what kind of legacy you'd like to leave behind in the coming years.
Yeah, I think one is that SANRAL must always be known for its operational excellence as a given. In execution, constantly awarding contracts to the industry, in its maintenance, in the quality of the new infrastructure that it builds, all of that. That's a given. So I'm quite keen to make sure that we continue with the legacy of operational excellence that my predecessors have left behind. Secondly, there are a lot of major projects that have stalled for a number of reasons that we are now bringing to life. We are now talking about, N2 Wild Coast route, the mega bridges, the Mtentu and Msikava. We're talking about, connecting, really saving in certain instances up to 3.5 hours of traveling time between Eastern Cape and KZN and Western Cape by shortening the N2 routes, especially in those areas down in the Pondoland, where it will strike you when you reach the border of Eastern Cape and KZN, development stops, literally stops, because the N2 stops winding inland. It doesn't continue along the coast into Port St. John's, Lusikisiki, all of that, into the other end of Umtata. So I really want to see that area being brought out up to life. In the same way that development has happened on the N2 along the Garden Route. The same way that development has happened along the N2, Durban South Coast, as well as North Coast. In the same way that we have seen developments following other major SANRAL areas like Etolls in Waterfall, N1 in Polokwane, you will see that ring road, what has developed towards the north of Polokwane, there's a new mall, estates and all of that. That's what I would love to see in the Wild Coast in Eastern Cape. But also, I also would like to see SANRAL starting to move into creating infrastructure for energy vehicles, electric vehicles rather, whether it's battery electric, whether it's green hydrogen, gas and all of that. That infrastructure for new energy vehicles, I think they call them in general. And we want to really start seeing some pilot projects on that, because it is the future and SANRAL must create infrastructure for it. So to be an ESG-friendly organization going forward, I'm hoping that we can start moving in that direction. So yes, operational excellence, these major developments, particularly in the Eastern Cape, to see that being realized, and as well as moving into an ESG-friendly new energy vehicle environment or infrastructure.
These are very exciting projects, and on behalf of the citizens across the country, we wish you the best of luck, because we will be the beneficiaries of the work that you'll be doing. Mr. Demana, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time.
Thank you.
Next week, we take a closer look at the road freight industry. I sat down with Gavin Kelly, representing the Road Freight Association. And I also gained some very interesting insights on road freight risk with Stan Bezuidenhout.